You know, it talks about you were arguably the first African-American sports star at the school. And we think just, pretty soon following you, George Rogers obviously kind of took the stage and won the Heisman. And I think from there, like you said, the floodgates kind of opened. But I'm just really intrigued to hear your perspective on that. Again, being an African-American at that time, obviously a much different time in America. And, we all know the challenges that college athletes go through and that daily grind, if you will. It's like having a job. And then you put that on top of it. And again, it really makes everything else kind of pale in comparison, probably to what you face. Just talk a little bit about that and kind of how you overcame that adversity. Again, you trusted your game on the floor, but I'd have to imagine even off the floor, what you were dealing with on a day-to-day basis, again, is something that we can't even really almost comprehend in today's world. Just expand on that a little bit. I'm curious to hear about that.
One of the best ways to say it. I don't know if you saw Asia Wilson's when they did her sculpture and they unveiled it, and her story was that her grandmother couldn't come on Carolina's campus, and here it is, her granddaughter ends up with a statue on that very same campus.
Yeah,
I had an incident like that when I was in college as well, but in high school as well. Not high school, but I was just a sixth grader, and I went to a school that was located where the wellness center is located now. Was called Saxon Elementary. And you had the university in the middle there. So I lived on the other side of Barnwell Street. So I had to walk around the university to get to my home. And I can remember walking around the university and being on the corner, almost home, on the corner of Pendleton and I think Sumter Street, or Senate Street. And standing on the corner with some of my siblings, waiting for the light to change. And then this car came up next to us. It was full of just, white kids. And one of the young men jumped out of the car and he ran over to me and he hit me with his fist in the side of my face as hard as he could. And, it was painful. I cried and I got home. And, at that time I was being reared by my grandmother, who was very loving. And, she made me understand that that's the way it is right now. And you will have an opportunity to change that. So I remembered that. And I wanted to be able to come to South Carolina so that all those people who were saying, you're not going to play there, don't go there, you're going to mess up your career, I wanted to prove all of them wrong. And I wanted to open the floodgates so that more African Americans would come there to play. Of course, Casey Manning was there, but they didn't look at his career as being legitimate enough because he didn't get a chance to play that much.
Right.
But I was like the top player in the state, and I felt that if I go there, I'm going to play. I was very confident in my ability and my work ethic. And so I got there, and, after that, I had other guys come, Nate Davis, Goalie Augustus, Herbert Ensminger. And, we started getting more minorities on the team, and as well as football. And I don't say I'm responsible for the football players, but, when you look at the great teams like Alabama, football team, you look at the Kentucky basketball team, and you see that, most of their players are African-American, or most of their stars are African-American players. And that in turn bring other people to, hey, maybe that's a great place to go.
Right.
I'm going to get a chance to watch and participate in that basketball game or that football game. And that in turn, brought more African-American students to the University of South Carolina, more minorities. And, it was part of my duty as an African-American basketball player and student to help bring and integrate, South Carolina, because South Carolina at that time was when I hear places like people say, I'm going to Mississippi, I'm going to Alabama, I kind of cringe because I think of, the civil rights movement and the things that happened in Birmingham with Bull Connor and all that stuff. But all those things, there were things that were similar happening in South Carolina.
Right.
You know, we couldn't go sit at a dime store counter and have food. You know, I remember my brother and I, we couldn't go. We went to a service station to get some water out of the water fountain after a hot July summer day of selling newspapers on the corner, and get kicked in the butt for drinking out of the water fountain. So all those things that happened, you know, I experienced it. It wasn't something that, you know, I could hear somebody else talk about and say, hey, really? I experienced those things, and I wanted to be a part of the change and still do.